Hello, Samara. How are you? How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Where are you taking this Zoom from?
From Austria.
Austria. Well, great musical country for classic music.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and we're playing at the concert house tomorrow night.
Okay, great. How does it feel like for you to be traveling around the world while performing? Is it exciting?
Yes, it's very exciting for me, especially because it was maybe a dream. It was a
Mhm.
dream just to be able to play in New York, so to get the chance to travel,
Mhm.
is an added blessing.
Mhm. Has this traveling around the world have had any impact on your music, on your inspiration till now?
I would say getting the opportunity to travel and perform has been one of the main sort of factors for helping me grow as a
Hmm.
vocalist. Um,
Hmm.
and I, it, from a musical perspective, I've even gone as far as learning the languages and learning songs in the language of the place that I'm going.
Okay.
So it's also helped me to be exposed to a different, different music, a different
Hmm.
cultural sort of landscape. So yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I asked you that because you recently released a song originally written by Javan, a very well-known Brazilian musician. Why did you choose that song? Did you know the Brazilian music tradition? What can you tell me about that?
I only knew a couple of maybe traditional bossa nova songs that
Okay.
Americans do sing, but when I went there, a great part
Hmm.
of going there, I just asked people, what is the most popular song? Like what is a song that everybody knows in Brazil? And
Hmm.
there it's really special, because it seemed like no matter what age everybody was in the audience or anything, when I sang the song in Brazil for the first time 2 years ago, everybody sang along. And it was like, wow, this is like a part of their culture, just having
Hmm.
this kind of, I don't want to say folk song, but just traditional song,
Hmm.
having it be a part. Like, I don't know if there's any one song that I could sing in the United States where
Everybody's gonna.
everybody would know it, because it's just
Mhm.
not the same. So it was really great to be able to see that firsthand. Um, and so that's why I released it. I love the song. I love the story behind it. Javon as an artist is obviously a legend for his songwriting and his music. So
Yeah.
it was a wonderful opportunity birthed out of, being able to travel and perform.
Mhm. What's the story of the song? You mentioned there's a story about it. I'm not aware of that.
I mean, the story is just it's one of heartbreak, and I think
Ah,
that's
okay.
maybe something that is well known for Brazilian music. At least the songs that I've heard, they sound the melody is so beautiful, but when you actually like translate the words, it's like, wow, this is very very deeply
Yeah.
emotional, So that's all.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, the Brazilian music is sometimes like a happy feeling with a sad content.
Yeah.
So tell me about your roots in jazz music. You come from a musician's family. They're rooted in gospel music, I think. So how did jazz come to you?
Jazz came to me when I was like 16 or 17 years old. I was in high school, and there was a program in my high school where we could perform with the big band. And
Hmm.
that's how I was introduced to it. But I really can't say that I was fully interested in jazz until I got to college. And I was
Okay.
surrounded by musicians and peers my age who had already been listening to it for, 5 to 10 years before I was. Um, and so even though I had a background in R&B and gospel and sort of soul music, I think it gave me an open-mindedness that I could maybe translate to jazz, like an awareness. I was able to listen and immerse myself in the style of jazz fully because
Mhm.
it's new to
Mhm.
me and because I had already sort of had an ear for music before that. So that's how it kind of came into my life.
Mhm. Was there a specific artist or recording that provoked that like made you feel that awareness, like that epiphany? There was some kind of Was there some kind of epiphany, a jazz epiphany for you?
Um, when I listen to vocalists like really listen to Sarah Vaughan and like Betty Carter, it sort of
Mhm.
made me think, wow, this is possible for an artist, for a vocalist. There were
Mhm.
certain things that I'd listened to singers my whole life, especially through my family, but there was a certain authenticity and a range that I heard in jazz vocalists that I hadn't heard anywhere else really. And it just made me think like, wow, I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to control my voice in that way and have a certain handle on technique, but also being able to use that technique to tell the story of a song rather than just, oh, I'm going to learn how to do runs and riffs because it sounds
Mhm.
cool, you know? Like I want
Mhm.
to have as many tools in my kit as a singer so that I can just in any given moment I can sort of use any one of them to sort of connect the audience to what I'm trying to sing, you know?
Mhm. Mhm. It is always a matter of using the technique to get or to transmit or to communicate a certain emotion, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And it's like you can have all the ideas and creativity in the world, but if you don't have the means to execute them by way of technique or practice or whatever, you know, then you won't be able to properly communicate because you don't have the facility to, I guess.
Mhm. Let's talk again a little bit about your family. You performed and recorded with them a track from your Christmas album. What was it that like?
Oh, that was so much fun because there's a legacy and a history of music in my family and of gospel and of using your gift to sort of serve a higher purpose and to serve God. And I grew up admiring my family so much and admiring their voices and the way that they sang together. And I guess I wanted an opportunity to sort of bring us together again. Because when I was
Mhm.
a baby, that's when everybody was sort of performing together the most. But life
Mhm.
happens and people sort of go their separate ways. So it was nice to bring everybody back together to this thing that sort of has unified us forever, you know, what feels like
Mhm.
forever through many different generations. And I was able to give everybody an opportunity to sing together again.
Great. Who were there? Who were singing with you?
My grandfather, who was 92 at the time, we
Mhm.
recorded. My
Is he
dad,
still alive?
yes, yeah, he's
Mhm.
still alive, still singing,
Mhm.
still preaching every other
Okay.
Sunday.
Mhm.
um, my dad and my uncle and my cousins and my brother, yeah, they were all there.
Genial. Great. Sorry. Well, your winning of the Best New Artist Grammy in 23 seemed to announce a new era of relevance for jazz music. Do you think that is the case?
Hmm, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Mhm.
It was such a crazy time for me personally. I don't know if I even took the time to think about the impact that it might have had on the public perception of music and of where jazz sort of fits into mainstream or where it ranks compared to other genres when it comes to uh, where how people hear it, where people hear it, how often. Um, I would say because it put a spotlight on me, then as a result, maybe people started listening to jazz more or they started listening to my
Mhm.
music more, which led them to other people. Um, but I don't think I don't know. That's a really good question because it's hard to say just one person can. you know, completely shift the way the public
Mhm.
views that genre. Um,
Mhm.
because I don't know, jazz has been through so many years of not being mainstream, in the
Mhm.
70s and 80s and 90s and 2000s that, whether it's having a resurgence, I think it's I don't know. There are a lot of artists who have contributed to it over the past throughout the years, and I'm just happy to be one of them.
Mhm. And time will tell, anyways.
Yeah.
That award was presented by Olivia Rodrigo, so I wanted to ask you if you are aware or you listen to these hits by pop music artists of our time.
Sometimes
Mhm.
I think
What do you think about them? Do you have any favorites?
mm, pop music. I don't know. I think I listen maybe to more 2000s, like 90s pop or 2000s pop as opposed to
Mm.
I think if something played right now of like today's pop music, I would probably be able to sing it just because it plays on the radio and in grocery
That's
stores and in,
part of the air.
clothing store. It's just kind of in the air. So
Mhm.
I guess in a way I'm familiar with it, but I can't say there's any pop music that might be my favorite today.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, but because one can think that jazz standards were the pop hits of the day.
Hmm.
Mhm. So maybe today the standards of the future are being born.
Maybe, I don't know,
Mhm.
only because the structure of songs were maybe different then, and
Mhm.
there was a more in-depth use of harmony. I think today's songs, it's maybe even simpler and even less music. I think people like Gershwin and people like, whoever wrote songbook standards, they were listening to classical music too. They were
Yeah.
listening to movements and harmony,
Mhm.
and I'm not
Mhm.
sure the pop music of today is influenced by that as much.
Mhm.
So I don't know.
Well, tell me about your repertoire choices. You play some very well-known standards like Misty, Someone to Watch Over Me,
Mm.
and I don't know, Around Midnight. But you also choose songs that are not as popular as, let's say, I Got You Under My Skin. Do you have some kind of purpose to expose some maybe not so known standard songs?
I think my purpose and my mission is to sing stuff that I like, and I
Hmm.
maybe even sing stuff that's challenging. Um, because after a while of singing songbook standards, it's like, oh, this is kind of the same form and the same, type of melody. This is obviously written for a vocalist, and so the intervals are quite close. Um, and then there's sometimes, at least more recently, where I want to sing songs that don't have lyrics so that I can write them. And I want to sing songs that are written by jazz musicians. So maybe the melodies are a little more involved, as if they were written for an instrumentalist or a horn player. And if I sing them, you know, it's still a melody. So I can just sing and maybe add a new song, even though it's a part of somebody else's repertoire, somebody else's original composition as a maybe from the approach of a jazz musician. It just has there's there's just more I don't know. I don't want to say it's more challenging, but it's just there's another level, there's influence from songbook and influence from standards, but they interpret it in their own voice. And that's kind of what I like about singing those kinds of compositions. So yeah, I think because I like seeking out new material and seeking out music that interests me and that's challenging and that's written in a different way, that's when I kind of find obscure songs or I find stuff that I can introduce to people. But I think the main goal is to just kind of satisfy and seek out something new.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you, in some cases, take instrumental pieces and put words to it because, like, classic jazz musicians were doing the opposite. They were taking like songs with words and translating them to instrumental versions. You know,
Right.
Coltrane, Monk. So,
Right.
so I think that's interesting. Were you aware of that?
I didn't think about it like that, but yeah, you
Mhm,
know, I listening to horn players or
mhm,
instrumentalists playing certain melodies and sort of what and sometimes it sounds like they just come up with a new melody, you know, um, or add on to enhance the melody in their own way so that it comes off the
mhm.
page and it kind of comes alive, you know. Um, yeah, I like that. That's my goal.
Great. Tell me about your training as a jazz musician. Yeah, you have an academic training in jazz, and I've always been curious if in real life the thing is like the Whiplash movie with like mean, cruel teachers, violent
Oh,
people.
thank God
Okay.
I never had that. No, if I had that, I don't know if I could handle it, you know. Um, but yeah, I had really great teachers who were active musicians as well. And so after they finished teaching, we could go see them perform at their gig, you know, in New York City. Um, there was a lot of, yeah, on the job training, you know.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm,
but I had wonderful, wonderful teachers and wonderful records to listen to of people, even though I never met, they were teaching me, you know, what it really means um, through technique and through academics and having an understanding of melody and harmony, but also just the feeling behind what the feeling behind what you put in your music, you know, the authenticity. I think that's what spoke to me as well.